The southern plains of America in the 19th century were a brutal, untamed expanse, a land of scorching summers, bone-chilling winters, and winds that howled across endless grasslands. Amid the thundering herds of buffalo and the wild gallop of mustangs, one people rose to dominate this unforgiving frontier, the Comanche. They weren't just survivors, they were conquerors, forging an empire that sprawled over 240,000 square miles, an expanse larger than modern France. With 250,000 horses under their command, they struck fear into settlers, rival tribes, and empires alike. For over 50 years, they defied the United States, a shadowy force of warriors who could vanish into the plains as swiftly as they attacked. But how did they wield such power? And what dark twist of fate brought their reign to a shattering end? This is their story, a tale of grit, vengeance, and a mystery that still haunts the American West. The rise of the horse lords. The Comanche didn't begin as lords of the plains. In the late 1600s, they were a humble offshoot of the Shoshone, scraping by in the arid Great Basin of what's now Wyoming and Utah. Life there was a grind hunting small game and digging for roots in a land that offered little. But around 1700, whispers of a new world reached them. Vast herds of buffalo and strange, four-legged beasts called horses, brought north by Spanish explorers. Driven by hunger and curiosity, a band of Comanche broke away, trekking 500 miles south to the southern plains. What they found transformed them forever. By 1750, they'd mastered the horse, a creature that turned them from wanderers into warriors. A Comanche boy learned to ride at 5, clinging to a mustang's mane as it bolted across the grass. By 12, he could fire arrows at full gallop, steering with his knees alone. Their horses, small, wiry, and bred for speed, could run 40 miles without tiring. A single warrior might own 6, swapping mounts mid-raid to outpace any pursuer. With these animals, they hunted buffalo with ruthless precision, one man felling a dozen 2,000-pound beasts in a single chase. By 1850, they controlled 250,000 horses, more than any tribe in North America. Historian T.R. Fehrenbach called it a cavalry nation, and he wasn't wrong. This was Comanchería, a realm ruled by hoof and arrow, stretching from Texas to Colorado. Their power wasn't just in numbers, it was in skill. A Comanche warrior could loose 20 arrows. In the time, a soldier reloaded a musket. In 1836, 100 riders stormed a Texas settlement, stole 500 horses, and vanished 400 miles away in 5 days untouched. They raided Spanish missions, French traders, and rival tribes like the Apache, whom they drove south by 1760. After slaughtering 200 in a single battle, their empire thrived on mobility and terror, a phantom force that struck and faded into the horizon. But as their legend grew, so did their enemies. And a storm was brewing that would test their reign, like never before. The Great Raid, a thunderbolt of revenge. The year was 1840, and the Comanche were at their peak, until betrayal lit the fuse of their fury. In March 65, Comanche leaders rode into San Antonio, under a white flag, seeking peace with the Texans. They wanted their captured kin returned. The Texans demanded all captives as a show of good faith. Tension snapped. A scuffle erupted, and when the dust settled, 35 Comanche lay dead. 12 of them chiefs, gunned down in what became known as the Council House fight. To the Comanche, this wasn't just a massacre. It was a declaration of war. Chief Buffalo Hump, a towering figure with a name that echoed strength, rallied 500 warriors, their faces streaked with red and black war paint, feathers trailing from their headdresses. They mounted their swiftest mustangs and rode south. On August 8, they hit Victoria, Texas, like a thunderbolt. 15 settlers dead, hundreds of horses taken. Then they swept to Linville, a coastal trading post. Houses blazed, stores crumbled, and 10 more settlers fell. In 2 days, they razed 2 towns, killed 25, and drove off with 3,000 horses and captives. The Texans reeled, their expansion stalled, as survivors fled east. This was the Great Raid of 1840, a masterstroke of vengeance that shook the frontier. But what drove them to such lengths? And how long could their defiance hold? The Comanche saw settlers as invaders carving up their hunting grounds, slaughtering their buffalo, and threatening their very existence. Every raid was a desperate bid to protect Comanchería, a cry to preserve a way of life forged over generations. For decades, it worked. Between 1836 and 1860, they killed over 600 settlers and stole tens of thousands of horses, turning Texas into a ghostland of fear. A warrior named Iron Jacket once felled 8 Texas Rangers in a single clash, his arrows flying as he charged on horseback. Their speed baffled pursuers. A U.S. officer in 1850 grumbled that chasing them was like hunting a shadow. Yet beneath this bravado lay a ticking clock, one that would run out when their greatest ally betrayed them. The fall, horses slain, buffalo vanished. By the 1870s, the United States had tired of the Comanches' resistance. After the Civil War, the nation's gaze turned west, and the Army unleashed its full might. Colonel Ronald S. Mackenzie, a hard-nosed veteran, arrived in Texas in 1871 with a mission: crush the Comanche and herd them onto reservations. His first strike came in 1872 at North Fork, where he ambushed a village, killed 23 warriors, and captured 120. But the decisive blow landed in 1874 during the Red River War. On September 28, Mackenzie's 600 troops descended into Palo Duro Canyon, a Comanche stronghold hidden by sheer cliffs. At dawn, they struck. The fight was brief, only 4 warriors died. But the aftermath was catastrophic. Mackenzie seized 1,400 horses, the tribe's lifeblood, and ordered them shot. The canyon echoed with gunfire as the herd fell, blood soaking the earth. Without horses, the Comanche couldn't hunt, flee, or fight. Families stumbled away on foot, abandoning tipis and food. Historian S.C. Gwynn wrote, "It was the day the Comanche Empire died. Worse still, the buffalo, their sustenance, were disappearing." In the 1800s, 30 million roamed the plains. By 1870, white hunters, spurred by profit and government bounties, began a slaughter. In 1872 alone, 4.5 million were killed. By 1884, just 1,200 remained. General Philip Sheridan cheered it on. Let them kill until the buffalo is gone. It'll end the Indian problem. He was right. Starvation gripped the Comanche. A warrior could no longer feed his band with a dozen kills. Now there was nothing to hunt. Disease followed. Hunger, smallpox, tore through camps, cutting their numbers from 20,000 in 1840 to 5,000 by the 1860s. In June 1875, the end came. Quanah Parker, son of a Comanche chief and a white captive, led the last 400 holdouts to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. They surrendered their weapons and stepped onto a reservation, a mere 6,000 square miles of fenced-in despair, compared to their lost 240,000-mile empire. By year's end, only 1,500 Comanche remained alive. Their horses were gone, their buffalo extinct, their freedom erased. The U.S. had spent millions and deployed 10,000 troops to break them. But at what cost? The unanswered echoes. The Comanche Saga is a riddle wrapped in dust and blood. How did they wield 250,000 horses to defy a nation for half a century, only to lose it all when 30 million buffalo vanished? Their mastery of the plains was unmatched. Raids like 1840's shook empires. Their riders outmatched any foe. Yet their strength was tethered to a fragile thread: the buffalo and the horse. When both were stripped away, their empire collapsed like a house of cards in a gale. Their story whispers a haunting question: was their fall inevitable, or could they have outlasted the tide of progress? For 50 years, they stalled America's westward march, a feat few tribes matched. Today, 17,000 Comanche descendants carry their legacy, a flicker of resilience amid a vanished world. Their defiance carved a scar across history, one that dares us to wonder what might have been, and what price we pay when empires clash and cultures fade into the wind.